Welcome to the Rocks and Roots podcast. Here we are once again from the comfort of our own homes. I am sounding better. Yes, thank you. I feel a lot better. Thanks for asking. And with me tonight is, of course, the Crank, but there's someone next to the Crank.
Yes, I am here as well.
There's another voice.
A third voice.
Who are you? And I know it's weird to use like the
Who
trailer.
are you?
So weird for me.
Alright, so my lovely wife is here.
Yes, I am the spouse's Spice.
Spice. The long-awaited interview with Mrs. Cranky. We are so glad to have you on the podcast, even though you've been like ghost on the podcast for a long time.
Just a tiny little voice that pops up with a sarcastic comment or a really inappropriate joke. That's usually me. So
Yes,
We
we
appreciate
teased it back in December, and it is finally happening. So, as you can hear, this is my week to be ill, but whatever, I'm fine. It's just I sound horrible. Deal with it.
He sounds like Phoebe from Friends when she tried to sing. It's the only episode of Friends I know.
Oh, okay. That went over our heads.
no, I didn't mean I watched the show.
So,
You were either Seinfeld and you were Friends, and I was Friends. So
Oh, okay.
this is going to be, I was Seinfeld. This is going to be a little bit different this week because we are interviewing you to get the perspective of a non-hiker.
Yes.
All of you out there, most of you out there, and all of our guests have been section hikers, adventurers of some type. That is not you.
no.
So we have a community that we are, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but we have a community that we are starting to build with this podcast. We've met a lot of great people that all have that in common. You are the exact opposite of that, yet we're obviously in a loving marriage, and the three of us are best friends. So we wanted to talk about how in the hell does that work when the spouse hates the woods and hates outdoors,
Camping, except if
Camping.
it's glamping.
Yeah, I'll glamp. If my hotel room faces the woods, or like my very nice like Airbnb faces the woods, I'm okay. I like a mattress and running water and like heat, like the basics, the basics.
So we know a couple of our guests also have a similar situation. I think Tina has a similar situation. Her spouse does not do this. So, and I'm sure many of you out there, at least some of you out there, have this experience. So we wanted to talk about how to make that work because you spend many weekends alone.
I do, and I think our situation, it can't completely be
Replicated.
It's not completely
Yeah,
universal,
we'll get into that.
but there are some strategies and there are some tips and tricks and things like that we use to smooth things over and make things a little bit easier and how we communicate.
We're going to talk about our origin story. So excited.
Yes.
Yay.
So let's start with, even though you don't hike, you do have a trail name.
I do.
Yeah,
It
you
is
do.
Precious Cargo. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it was an accident. It was not an intentional thing. We were leaving to go on vacation, the three of us. I think it was a Christmas one. It was like right after Christmas. And my mom gave me my trail name. I mean, she gave me my actual name, so I guess it's fitting that she gave me my trail name too.
Hi, Mama, Mrs. Cranky, if you're listening.
She's a worrywart. I love her. She's a worrywart. We were all getting in the car, and she told you guys to drive safe because you were carrying precious cargo, meaning me. And then that just became the running gag for the entire trip and then beyond. And then that kind of just morphed into, well, that's your trail name. And I was like, but I don't hike. That's still your trail. Okay.
You are a trail angel, though. You have saved us on trail.
Yes.
So you deserve it.
I've definitely dropped off and picked up on numerous occasions.
Yes.
I have had food waiting in numerous occasions. Yes. So, but that is the origin of
Precious Cargo.
We're using it slightly tongue in cheek, but she kind of bestowed that upon me.
So we've done about 850 miles of AT, approximately 25 Catskill summits, 6 or 7 Adirondack summits.
Oh, may I interject for a second, Crank?
Sure.
As I was listening to our episode with James Appleton today, there is an edit. We've done 7 peaks and not 6. I forgot to mention Colden.
Nice.
All right.
So we've done 7 Adirondack summits, various other smaller trails up and down the East Coast. So as we mentioned, that means you spend a lot of weekends alone. How does that work for you? How do we make that work?
I'm one of those weirdos who I really enjoy how I recharge. I spend a lot of time. I also have a really fun hobby. I have a very involved, I make soap. I do cold process soap making. So that takes up a lot of my time as well. But sometimes you gotta get comfortable with yourself. And I've always kind of been like that, even in high school, even before high school. My weekends are mostly spent with a book or a documentary or something that I was involved with me, myself, and I. So that's an unusual situation for me, since I think that's kind of rare with people, is that I enjoy the quiet. My day job is not quiet. So I kind of enjoy that downtime. I get to focus on my craft and my art and the stuff that you're not necessarily interested in, but I am. So it gives me that space to kind of be as creative as I want, and that's important too, like not feeling left out. But if I was, we need to communicate with that, and we need to be able to.
And there have been times where I've pushed it too far, and it's like, okay, you've been away every weekend for a month, like, so also communicating that and saying, hey, and then the other person has to understand, like, okay, yes. So yeah, having your own hobby and then being comfortable, which everybody should be self-actualized. I could do a little better with that.
And I could do a little better, reaching out to people and doing stuff on my own. I'm kind of a hermit, and I accept that.
Which is also kind of why we work, because I'm the more social of us, and I drag you to places, and then there are times when you're like, enough, you need to be home, and we need to be not. So it's complementary.
Yes. We've also spent quite a few years together overall. We've been together.
Yes.
We've been together for nearly 20 years. It's
so yeah, we were married young, and this is a thing that I've taken up in the last 4.5, 5 years. So we had a lot of time before this.
To kind of get to know each other, to get to know how we communicate. I think that's ultimately the most important thing to take away from this, is communicating properly and fighting properly. You can't just feel hurt or left out and then, light all of his suits on fire or throw the hiking gear out in the truck or be vindictive and say, well, he's going hiking. Well, I'm going to spend all the money. Well, I'm going to go do this. Well, I'm going to go and feel angry about it. There needs to be, we communicate very well a lot of the time. No, we're not perfect, and we fight and we argue and we disagree. But we try to do it in a fair way of, you said this or you did this, and that made me feel hurt or left out or mad or upset or.
That's nice that you feel that way, but.
And sometimes that happens, and I want to stab him in the throat. That's normal. That's normal. You be with another human being long enough, and there are times when you're just going to be like, you know what, dude, I am going to,
She hasn't stabbed him in the throat yet, FYI.
No, I have not. I may threaten violence, but I'm actually not. But like I said, we've been together quite a while, so we kind of learned how to communicate with each other over the years, and trust too. Like, I trust that he's going to be where he says he is when he's going to be there. That's also really important for the non-hiker. Like, if I say, hey, I'm going to the mall or the movies, or I'm going to go hang out with friends, I say I'm going to be where I say I'm going to be.
But Mrs. Cranky, why don't you just start hiking too?
Yeah. And I know that there are people who are like, well, why don't you just? Well, I don't want to.
Okay.
And I shouldn't have to change my whole personality to fit his personality. Like, we're two individuals, and we can be individuals, and that's okay. he doesn't want to make soap. Why doesn't he just make soap with me? Well, he doesn't want to, and that's okay. So I know that there's probably some like, well, she just sounds like she's one. I'm not, really not. But yeah, we can totally have our own. People have been trying to get me to hike since I was like 7. Has not worked. I have hated every experience since I was a child. My dad's like, hey, we're going to go hiking. I don't want to go in the woods up the giant mountain.
And so when her husband decided, hey, I'm going to go hiking, she's like, oh, fuck.
Son of a bitch. They had to go to like a sleepaway camp in 6th grade. They made me hike up a mountain and then try and make a shelter in 2 feet of snow. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I was cold, annoyed. I just wanted to go back into the cabins. I did not have it wasn't a bad trip, but it wasn't my thing. And I've always had that. Yeah, no.
Which is why those wilderness-based programs in schools are important, because otherwise you wouldn't have done it ever in your life. So, and I know you'd be okay with that.
I would be okay with that. See, I wanted to make candles there, but they made me take archery because candle making was full. I was in 6. I still remember that. That's how annoyed I was at the time. That was bullshit. I hated archery. I was bad at it too. That's why I hated it. I was not good at it.
So, the woods and the mountains are where I reset. It's therapeutic on a good day. It's like church. We've talked about this on the podcast many, many times. People out there will understand. You have your own version of that, which is also very helpful, and where compromise comes in.
Right. I love the beach. I love the ocean. I love kind of any big body of water. I like to be near the water, in the water. It's something I've always been drawn to. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved the ocean, the beach. We would go, down the shore. We would go to other beaches. And that's kind of our compromise as well. Like, he hates the beach with a passion. He hates every single second of it. But I love it, so we go. That give and that take. It's not necessarily like tit for tat either, but it's like, hey, I know you love this. I'm going to take you to the beach this weekend. Because I've had a couple of weekends in the woods. Let's do a couple of weekends together.
So yeah, what about, because I know you don't get the mountains. I don't get the sand and the water and the salt and the people.
I don't know. I just,
what about that?
I love being able to just float and just disconnect from the world for a while. That's how I disconnect. It's not necessarily the sand, because nobody likes sand. But I like being able to float and splash around and just disconnect and just... That's how I zen out. And I think what helps too is I'm really intellectually curious. And I'm not into hiking, but I'm curious enough about it so that when you guys talk about it, or when we watch YouTube videos together, or we watch this mountain or that through hiker, I'm interested enough, because to me it's a curiosity. It's not something I want to do, but I'm intellectually curious enough to say, oh, okay, like we were watching that Mount Everest documentary, and it was interesting to me because I didn't know these things. I'm intellectually curious, and I think that helps me be more supportive and say, hey, you're planning this weekend hike. How can I help you plan? Do we need to go to the store? Do we need to do this? I enjoy just spending time with you. So if that's helping prepare you for something,
And at least we could talk about it. Like, Tumble, sometimes talking to your parents about stuff and they have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. It's like, oh, okay.
But once again, it's that intellectual curiosity where they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you're having a great time. And but what does that mean?
Yes. But seriously, Tumble parents, thank you for the multiple rides.
My parents are awesome cheerleaders. Almost too much that they're willing to drive all the way up to Vermont.
And they're begging us to do Vermont so they can drive up there.
Yeah.
So I guess this is where we can, and I'll shut up because A, I sound horrible, and B, you guys can cover this. I guess you could throw the origin story into this.
Oh, yeah.
So I know there are other hiking groups and hiking partners out there with a gender difference So we're not entirely unique in that regard, but talking to normies, that's the first question we always get. And then whenever we get a shuttle, like that's the first thing that we have to fucking deal with the shuttle
Oh,
driver.
you're not married?
No, we're not. Well, I'm married, but not to her. Yes, my wife 5 states away is okay with this.
Right.
So, like, yeah. So, how are you okay with multiple weekends, hotels, hostels, tents with, me and a female?
I think we kind of started talking a little bit about it. You and I have been together since college. We've been together since 2003. We've been married, for quite a while as well. Like, I trust.
We old as fuck.
But I trust you. You have never given me a reason not to trust you. You are always where you say you will be, when you will be there. Within a few hours, you're notoriously late. But, minus some spotchy service, you are where you say you'll be, and you contact me when you say you're going to. So there's that element of trust that's already there.
Oh,
And
thanks, Mrs. Cranky. Oh, you mean him. Okay.
Yeah. But the three of us have known each other for very close, if not more than 10 years at this point.
Yeah,
It's like
it's been a long time.
12 or 13.
So that also really helps, is that we started doing group things together.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. So the three of us know each other very, very well. So there's not a weird feeling for me because we all know each other. I mean, if the three of us didn't do that and it was someone I hadn't known as well or hadn't met as many times or just didn't feel as involved with, yeah, I think that would be a different story of like, hey, honey, this is my coworker. You've never met her, but we're going away in the woods for a week. It's a little bit different.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even we started doing history-related trips and non-hiking related trips for years.
Yes, years and years and years and years
before the hiking thing really kind of sprouted. It was until 2017, really, that we started on this fakakta journey.
And a lot of the times I'm included in some way, shape, or form. Even that one spring break trip where I dropped y'all off the airport, the train station.
Yeah.
I picked you up at Gettysburg. We spent the whole weekend doing stuff. Like, I'm included in these plans. I'm included in these trips, even if it's just, we're going to do something when you get back, or we're going to do something, or I just go with you. You guys
or
do
the
a
night
couple
before we hang out.
Yeah.
Right. Or I go up with you guys do a mountain or two, and then we do something in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, though, that I am also very dear friends with Mrs. Cranky, too, so...
Yes.
There's no question there, and especially since, when we started doing the backpacking, hiking, I was single, too, so I give Mrs. Cranky tons and tons and tons of credit for that trust. And
no one's given me a reason not to trust you guys. Like,
of course.
There was never any reason or never any weird thing where I'd be like, well, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
There's never been a thing where I wouldn't have.
Totally, but as Cranky said, the normies are like, what the fuck?
They are. A lot of people are kind of weirded out.
They're weirded out. Yeah.
Like, do you guys know how many vacations we take together and do history stuff? And we take a lot of vacations together where we kind of know each other really, really well. And it's not, we've made it work because it's not weird for us.
Correct. Absolutely. What was I going to say?
It goes back to communication again.
For sure.
We all communicate with each other too. So there's an open communication between even the three of us where there's not crazy weird things going on. Like, we all communicate and trust each other, and yeah. It didn't happen overnight.
No, for sure. When we first started the hiking thing and we were posting pictures, they're like, "Oh, you're with him?" I'm like, no. They're like, what? So people, if you're listening, which I hope you are, You can be friends with someone of the opposite sex and it can be platonic. It's a shocker, but it can happen.
Yes. Yep.
I'm nodding because I can't talk.
He sounds like a frog.
Yes.
We're going to communicate in sign language in a bit.
So, all right. And if we seem like we are going quicker this episode, we're going quicker this episode.
I had my own procedure done today that needed a lot of preparation and exhaustive preparation. So
we're all
I'm tired too. Like we said, we're old AF. So
they are not. They are not.
All right. So disagreements because
that they're not old as fuck. Yes, correct. That is a disagreement.
Disagreements over hiking because this has come up in the last month with the Western trip.
Yeah, that was I think one of the biggest disagreements we've kind of had over a trip, and I think part of it stemmed from that we had a communication breakdown, and it happens. Even like the best communicators can have communication breakdowns, and that's what happened. We had a huge communication breakdown. And I kind of felt like, you had made that big decision without me. We are a team. We usually make these decisions together. We sit down, we talk about them, we do a budget, we figure this out because, finances. Like we're married, we have a mortgage and bills and gas prices. Everything's insane. So we sit down, we talk about this stuff. And it felt like it was more of, I'm going, you can't go, deal.
Because that's kind of a little bit what it is.
And it is a little bit of what it is.
And this is like the only time that it's ever been like that, though, because this is a unique opportunity, and this is not designed. This is an ongoing thing in this household.
We
almost has her head.
So you're dealing with a chit chat through this whole thing in real time. So
yes,
this is a unique experience for our listeners.
It took some time for me to process the kind of hurt feelings. I didn't get to travel as a kid. Like we didn't have the money to travel as a kid. We just didn't. I just didn't. Like I said, I got very good at keeping my own company to the detriment or how pros and cons of that. There are pros and cons to that. And that was kind of one of the cons is I've never been out there before. And it would have been a new experience for me too. And I thought, at first we thought, well, that at least I thought that that's what was going to happen. And you were kind of surprised. You were like, wait, no. And I'm like, wait, what? And there was a huge communication breakdown. And we really had to spend a week or two. I had to figure out how I was feeling exactly so I could express it instead of just mad, because that's not going to help. Like being mad and being hurt, and I was mad and I was hurt, but that's not going to help us figure out how to work through this. And we had to use we kind of came to, I feel this when you said this, and it took a little while, and we're in a better place communication wise. But yeah, that was a pretty big disagreement, I think, in part because, like I said, it would have been an interesting experience for me. We have the next part, like I do the national park stamps. There's probably lots of parks out there I've never been to and might not get to go again either.
You will.
We'll see. Like it's just one of those. That's how it was feeling. Like I felt like, hey, you guys made this decision, and I was like, well, what am I going? Well, why am I here? So yeah, we do have disagreements, and we still have disagreements. So it's a work in progress, and we have to kind of both be open to the other person's feelings. And I had to be open to his feelings of he's not gotten to do this before either.
And this is not a trip designed for a non-hiker.
Yes. And I get that. But that took me some time to understand as well. So as angry and hurt as I was, I had to try and see it from his perspective, and he had to try and see it from mine. And that takes some time. It took a good couple of weeks.
I'm going to be spending lots of time at the beach this summer.
Yeah, I really could use some extra expensive soap equipment,
Yes.
My birthday trip is going to be very nice this year.
So that's part of it as well. Like,
Yes.
I think I was talking to a coworker about it, and my coworker, and I hate this term. It sounds like a fucking lib bullshit term, but spousal collateral, like transaction, which I hate.
You can take it to a not good
psychobabble terms like that, because it can go to a not good place. But yes, since we have a better understanding about this now, and this is a thing that's happening, I will do things that will make you happy in exchange.
Right. So I'm not feeling as hurt or left out, but then you still get to do the thing that you really want to do. You could take that to a not good place and say, well, that's just exchanging. That's just, I can't find my
A marriage
words
shouldn't
today.
be a financial
tit for
transaction.
tat. Yes.
But so what are you going to be doing while I'm out west for 7 days, and while I'm in Shenandoah for 2 days, and whatever the hell else comes
when
up?
you're in the Shenandoahs for 2 days, I'm still going to be working.
So sneak peek, y'all. By the time this comes out, we would have already been done with this. So we're doing the Shenandoah. We're finishing that shit up next week. Crank does have his spring break, and Mrs. Crank has it the week after.
My break starts Good Friday. His basically ends like Easter Monday. It's that week of Easter, and his is the week before. So I'll be working. I will not have those couple days. I will not have a lot of free time. I'm gonna keep my regular routine. I'm gonna keep my regular routine. I'm going to work. I'm doing what I need to do. It'll be weird because not having you around is weird for me because you're my husband and my soulmate and my spouse. So I like spending time with you. It doesn't really matter what we're doing. I just enjoy being with you. So it'll be weird for me, but I've done it before. I can do it again. The summer trip, I honestly have no idea.
Generally, what hobbies do we share? I posed that question wrong. The question should have been, what other hobbies do we have that we share?
We'll probably collect a lot of stamps. I just upgraded my National Park stamp book to the big giant collector's
National
edition.
Park stamps, not
they're cancellation stamps, and each
yes, they're not postage stamps.
Each park is in this book, and then you go and you get the stamp with the date
on it. I'm hoping our listeners already know about. But
yes, if you don't, if you go to any national park gift shop, there are these books. There's smaller ones, and then there's big collector's editions. I literally just upgraded to my the bigger book. So now I got to get all the stamps again, and so we'll probably go on lots of little history trips, and there's a bunch in the tri-state area that I need to get. So yeah, we do a lot of history stuff together. We might not do. I have not been running or anything like that. I used to run, but
we can get back into that.
Maybe in the spring, summer, more toward that, start doing that together again. But yeah, we do a lot of history stuff. We have a lot of side interests in common. We like a lot of the same media and things like that. But books. We'll sit and read together. And like I said, I love just being with you. It kind of doesn't matter what we're doing. So even if we're just sitting here reading together, that's I feel connected to you. And that's fulfilling.
All right. So we kind of already covered that one, actually. Do you want to talk about the hobby you've picked up in the last year and a half, the soap? I guess without going into tons of detail, but what is this soap thing?
Names are censored to protect the moneymakers, not the guilty.
Sort of. I started watching a lot of soap YouTubes, and I got a lovely Christmas present from you over there.
Hey-o!
Kind of kicking the pants in the right direction. And
that's right. Start doing soap.
Yes, and I had watched a lot of Royalty Soaps videos. Katie Carson is a wonderful. She did her own "This is how you make soap" videos, and they're free, and they were wonderful. So I was like, I maybe could do this. It was a little, intimidating. You're working with cold processed soap. So that is lye and water and warmed oils, and you mix them together and you blend them together, and then you could do.
Watch Fight Club. Tyler Durden explains the process.
That's right.
I don't eat human fat. Thank you. This is not special education Fight Club, which is kind of what you wanted. You wanted your own special education Fight Club. No, we are not doing Fight Club. That's not what this is. But yes, you have your lye solution. They kind of use a little over dramatic. Lye burns. It will burn, but not as dramatic and quickly. Like vinegar, usually you wash your hands, vinegar, you spray it. Of course, you wear eye protection because, gloves, long sleeves, that kind of stuff. It is dangerous. It can
disclaimer, just because Mrs. Cranky says it ain't that bad doesn't mean that it's not bad. Don't do it.
You still need to take all of the safety precautions. And like I said, Katie Carson has wonderful how-to videos, how to work with lye, how to keep safe using lye, and I watched all of those videos to get some education before I even started. I didn't just decide to wake up and do this and just open a jar of lye. Like I said, I wear safety goggles, I wear gloves, I wear long sleeves shirt, I wear long pants, because if that gets anywhere, it will burn your skin. If it gets in your eyes, you could lose your eyesight. So it's not something to be terrified of, but you need to have the proper equipment to do it. It's not like you can just wake up and be like, yeah, sure, we're get the lye out. We're just, we're going to throw this around. Like, you really need to be safe when you're doing it. But I've found it fulfilling creatively. Like, you can do whatever you want with it. You can just Google on Etsy handmade soap, and you can just see all of the different frostings and cupcakes and cakes and things that look like soap that aren't soap. It's fascinating. So
if you want some soap from Mrs. Cranky, this is not a racket. It's a true business.
Yes, I do.
So 100%.
And if your husband and best friend ran a clean podcast where they didn't make blowjob jokes and didn't express unpopular opinions, we could say the name of your business.
This is very true.
Not to do that, so we can't.
Because my real name is associated with this business. And then from my name, you could get his name, and then you can get your name, and everybody would get doxxed by accident. We would dox ourselves.
We would self-dox.
We would all just self-dox by accident. So it would be kind of you'd have to dig around a little bit, since my last name isn't necessarily featured on them, but like, you could totally find me, then him, then you, and just the three of us would just be completely
screwed.
Yeah, so that's why we're not saying the name of my soap business. But if you were curious about it, like I said, Katie Carson on YouTube, all of her courses are free. She sells soap too, but her soap is fabulous. So if you really are curious, like, throw some sales.
Once again, this podcast recommends other people's shit.
Yeah,
might I suggest Mrs. Cranky's blueberry soap? It's amazing.
It is very good. Mm-hmm. I'm using a bar in my own shower. Yes, I use my own product.
So for those of you that know us,
personally,
reach out and we can hook you up with some soap.
Yes, right. I've upped all my fragrance oil amounts, so everything smells wonderful. I just did a really cute cotton candy fragrance. I actually have a coworker who's interested in a couple of those, but I'll save you one with the bunny on it.
You see how well she treats me? Isn't that?
I just did a cream soda one with the pink and the brown. It's really pretty. Like, yeah. So if anyone knows us personally, who actually
or if you've been a guest and have our contact information and you're listening now, and you would like some,
and you would like the website information to at least check it out, all you have to do is message us. Yeah.
All right. So you have completed approximately 3 miles of Appalachian Trail. So you have exactly 1 trail tale.
Well,
allotted to you.
Didn't you trick me on part of it when we were in
tricked me.
Was it Maryland or Virginia or something?
We did West Virginia.
Yeah,
we trick you onto the Appalachian Trail all the time.
And then we're just walking around at a historic site. You're on the trail. No, I'm not. No. This doesn't.
Yes, you are. There's a white place.
This doesn't count.
Yeah, the historic sites that the trail goes through, we visit because we are interested in historic sites. So whenever Tumbles and I have the opportunity, we trick you into going on the trail.
It was our Antietam trip.
Yep.
Yes.
So
whatever the journalist is, And the stone arch
In Maryland, yeah. I forget the name.
There's a little trail there too that we had walked up a little bit until I said, I don't want to do this anymore. My legs hurt and my arms hurt and I'm thirsty and I'm tired. And
there
I'm
we
like,
go.
oh God.
And we're like, all right, let's go to the winery.
The child would like to drink. Okay, yes. The child being me.
So what is your one legit trail tale?
We did the boardwalk in Vernon, right?
Yeah, Pochuck Boardwalk.
Yeah. Which, of all the years of sort of being in that area, I never did it. I liked the boardwalk. It was nice. It was flat. I got to see turtles.
3 years ago.
Yeah, it had to have been now. It was over the summer.
Yeah.
So there were kitty cats at the barn store. So I was petting all the kitty cats. So I liked that. I liked that trip.
So for AT hikers, so Vernon, New Jersey, where the trail crosses.
In Sussex County, it's the only place that has a boardwalk, like a legit boardwalk. On the trail.
If you just do Vernon Boardwalk, you'll find it. It's not.
So I figured that would be a good place to start you, and we went, and you liked the boardwalk part,
and then we got going up a hill, and it was a disaster. And then I was hot and sweaty by that point, and then I was kind of done, which is also kind of like me. My mom, I'm sure, has like 80 billion of these stories, but I played soccer for like a red hot minute when I was like, oh God, 5 or 6. But you know, when 5 or 6 year olds play soccer, it's just like a hive around the ball. Like, and I was nowhere near the ball, and I was nowhere to be I was gonna know where. It was a disaster. I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid. So I went down to the other end of the field and I laid on the ground. Just laid there. Just laid down randomly. If there's nobody coming down here, I'm going to go take a nap. So one of the other parents looks at my mother and says, is that your kid? I said, my mom, I just used to randomly pass out places. So my mom thinks I'm like passed out or hurt. So she like rushes over there. And I looked at her, I looked up and went, I'm sweating. I was done. And then just the attitude of I'm pulling at my shirt. I'm like, I'm sweating. And she's like, yeah, she's not an athlete. And they let me come off the field. I got sweaty and I didn't like it. That's probably why I hate hiking.
All right. There's the origin story. That is the true origin story.
I am not an athlete. I did 4 years of marching band in high school. That was about as athletic as I got. So the boardwalk was very nice. I got to see turtles, and then you know, mating butterflies. I was like, why are they stuck together? Oh,
stuck together. So okay, the trail is not PG. The trail is rated R.
Just a warning: if you go in like July and August, it is not going to be PG. Those butterflies are stuck together like nobody's business. They did not get their own room. So that was, you know, my experience on the trail.
So Mrs. Cranky doesn't rate the trail as easy or hard. She rates it PG or rated R.
Or rated R. That trip was a rated R trip. Yeah.
But then there's the general store near there, which you can, if you are through hiking, you can walk to it from the trail.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's close enough. Did a little deli. They brought like sandwiches and drinks and stuff like that.
Vernon also has a post office if you're sending yourself stuff.
Yes.
Or sending stuff home.
They have it's a small town, but it's got some stuff.
All right. I think that's it, guys.
Anything else?
So yeah, just communication, being your own person, finding your own hobbies, compromise.
Yeah.
I think we kind of summed it up there.
Yeah.
I think so.
And kind of be intellectually curious, even if you don't want to hike. It's kind of investing yourself in your partners in something they're passionate about. Like I said, you hate the beach, but we talk about it and
I go there.
You go there and you find good stuff for us to do. You act like you're interested because, you know, you're going to be. So that's important too, is not just doing it because, well, I did this for you. Well, that's good. But wait, if you go and go, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Are we done yet? Like I took you. Are you happy now? Like there needs to be like, I genuinely want to be here with you because seeing you happy makes me happy. And
Exactly.
and that's really, really important. Just in general, seeing your partner happy makes you happy, you probably won't have as many arguments. And that goes on both sides for everybody too, for him and me in him. I think that's a big part of that.
All right. I think that's it, unless you have anything else, Tumbles.
I think we covered a lot in a very short amount of time. We are just hitting 40 minutes now, and that was a jam-packed episode, if I do say so.
Yes.
And it's not like I don't live with you, so if we think of anything else and we want to do like, or if anybody else has specific questions that they are curious about, I'm an open book.
We are here for questions.
Reach out to the Instagram.
That's right. All right, friends. Well, Crank, do you want to try your shot at plugging?
I can't. No.
Oh, okay. All right. That was a firm no. All right. So,
if we ever change our mind again, I know where to find him.
There we go. See that? So follow us on the gram, rocks_and_roots_pod. TikTok, rocks_roots_podcast. Find us on YouTube. This is just the episode put on YouTube for your convenience. Give us some money. We're on Patreon because we pay for subscriptions to keep this podcast going, to make y'all happy. Leave us a note on Apple Podcasts. We all like to hear from you. Leave us some stars, please. I would give out Mrs. Cranky's Instagrams, but like we said, that has all of her information and you'll be able to find us, and we don't want you to find us. So with that being said, thank you so much, Mrs. Cranky, for your time. We hope you feel better, and we look forward to having you on the next episode. Feel better, Crank, and that's a ciao.